We're starting Be'ez Hashem Simon Kuf Mem Beis in Vayoel Moshe, and after he is finished in the last 40, 50 simanim discussing the Indian of Bechiris and elections and having people in the Knesset, so now he's going to turn to the subject of agudah. And the agudah is the main party in the Satmar Rebbe's time that supported voting in the elections. Today there are a lot of more parties, unfortunately, but the agudah was the one that he had to deal with, so therefore this simon is about the agudah, history of the
fruit party are ultimately the
There's some people who go with blinded eyes. They go blindly and they say with blind faith, yeah, we believe in voting. Yan shezeh ma'aseho agudah, because we know the agudah supports it. Shahaya b'hisyastusa gam gedolim b'tzadikim. They say, you know, the agudah was started by great tzaddikim in the previous generation, by like the Ger Rebbe, the Chafetz Chaim, Reb Chaim Oizer. Therefore, we can't turn away from them. We can't doubt them, and we have to follow whatever the agudah says. So therefore, you can discuss a little here what the history of the agudah was.
But agudah started off as being against them,
right?
Retracted. Gidol should retract in their words.
Right. So now it's not the same people. Listen, the das the navai nakel. It's easy for an understanding person to realize asher hevel yivtzapiyam, that this argument is an empty argument. Because, like I was just saying, that the people are not the same people today. The agudah is not the same agudah. Just because it has the same name and it's the same organization doesn't mean that it's the same. That it really has the same positions.
Just like JTS, Jewish Theological Seminary, also started out as an Orthodox institution.
Really, I didn't know. Yeah. In other words, the agudah, tzaddikim and gedolim, who started out the agudah, wouldn't necessarily hold of what the agudah is doing today.
I said with Young Israel, the old who started Young Israel.
We're not Zionists
at all. No. Young Israel was fully founded to promote, not working on Shabbos, and they were role model shuls that showed.
I remember the whole history of the agudah and all the things that did, and the whole history of it, the whole series of events that led up to it. From the beginning of its founding, Ba'asifo Harishoina, and its first gathering they had at Bad Hamburg, Adata, until today. V'dibarti im roiv gedoyle Yisrael. I spoke to most of the Gedolei Yisrael shebemeshech hadoros, during the whole course of the generations, Ho'ela, B'dvar Ho'agudah, regarding the matter of the agudah. The Rebbe had long talks with the Ger Rebbe, Rebbe Avram Mordechai, the one who was the Imrei Emes, and with Reb Shmuel Unger, the Nitra Rav, who also supported the agudah at first, and the Rebbe had a lot of shaykhs with the gedolim of the agudah, and he understood what was happening, and he says, now I'm going to tell the story briefly of what happened with the agudah. Actually, what people don't realize is that at the beginning, most of the gedolim were against the agudah. Even at the beginning.
Like Minchas Elazar?
Yeah, the Minchas Elazar was one of them, but there were many others. Now, if you take a look at this paper that I have copied off here, here, pass one back. This is from the sefer Vayoel, which contains a whole lot of different. I can't remember the name of the mechaber, but it's really just a collection of different people's memories, stories that people told about the Rebbe. And this particular one, it's in Chelik base, page pay base, and it says, "B'masha cost of Rebbeinu b'sefer Vayoel Moshe sheroiv gedolei Yisrael hayu negedo agudah." This is what we're learning now. Most gedolim were against the agudah. Shalom mimenu. So they asked the Rebbe a question. Harei hayu harba gedolei Yisrael b'dor ha'avar shahayu machzikim b'agudah. Then how do you get this calculation that it was most of the gedolim against it? And there were a lot of people who were for it. So how do you get that the majority were against it? So the Rebbe answered, I didn't mean in number, I meant in quality. That in quality there were more who were against it than there were for it. And he mentioned at that time as Hagon HaKadosh Rabbi Yisachar Doiv Belza. The Belza Rebbe, Rabbi Yisachar Doiv, who was nifter in I think the early 20s.
I think 27.
So he was against it. The Hagon HaKadosh Amar Shab This is Reb Shalom Ber, the Lubavitcher Rebbe. Ubenoi Hagoyin HaKadosh Yosef Yitzchak. That's all. The 6th Lubavitcher Rebbe, Rabbi Yosef Yitzchak.
Yeah, he would have
Shaloi Hechziku Me Agudah. They didn't hold of the Agudah. And this is the Edith of Rabbi Shai Buchinger.
The Lubavitch considered that the Maharshav and the Rayat, it's outdated what they said.
So now he doesn't mention here Reb Chaim. Reb Chaim Brisker was at the beginning of the Agudah. He was interested in it. He went to one of the conferences, but in the end he realized that they weren't going to implement what he said to do. He put down 18 conditions upon which he conditioned his support of Agudah. 18 rules, and the document disappeared. Nobody knows what happened to it, and basically the Agudah never followed up on those rules. Now,
did Garrett steal it or something like that?
Nobody knows exactly what
you mentioned that in your book also, right?
Yeah, but I didn't mention what happened to it. Okay, so therefore the Rebbe says that, and by the way, I think the Rebbe once said there were 2 Gedolim that he wished he would have met. One of them was the Chavetz Chaim, and the other one was Reb Chaim Brisker. I believe those are the 2. In any case,
I think I heard someone else say it was like Rashab or something.
Oh, it could be it was the Rashab, yeah. Now, he says like this: however, many Gedolim spoke out loudly against it, like the Minchas Elazar. But there were others who didn't go into the fight so much. It wasn't their manner to come out publicly and speak out against things. However, quietly, privately, they did say, to those who knew them, they told them not to join the Agudah. And really, in Hungary, the Agudah didn't spread very much. There were very few Gedolim in Hungary who were supportive of the Agudah. There were many Gedolim and Tzadikim who were in support of the Agudah. And their intent was for the sake of Hashem. And they supported the Agudah because they thought they thought the Agudah was going to fight Zionism and Mizrahism. Because their souls were bitter, because they were very bitter over what the Zionists and the Mizrahi had done to Europe, and they were scared of what was going to happen as a result of these groups. So that whoever they saw as being an opponent of Zionism and Mizrahi, they saw as like cool water on a parched throat. There was like something that was going to soothe all the troubles that they had. It was only because of their tsar over these 2 movements that they were motivated to go and join the Agudah. That the Agudah at that time were those who fought against them. And however, I understand now at this point. Now we understand. Now we see what happened to the Agudah in the end. They ended up joining the Zionists. So I understand now. Appears b'divrei Mishnah. Now I understand the pshat in the Mishnah. Kol machlokes shehi l'shem shemayim sofer lihiskaim. V'she'enu l'shem shemayim ain't sofer lihiskaim. The Mishnah in Pirkei Avos says any machlokes that was for the sake of Shemayim will continue. Will stay. Mashenkin and machlokes that's not l'shem Shemayim will end up falling apart. So, when these kashu b'lashon Mishnah, the Mefarshim ask a question here: Mahu hashvach al machlokes shestoyfel liskaim? What's the big thing that it's so good that the machlokes will continue? Adrabah, fakir. We should have said any machlokes that's l'shem Shemayim will eventually make peace, and any machlokes that's not l'shem Shemayim will continue. People will fight to the bitter end because they're in it for the fight. So Pashup Shad, okay. Pashup Shad is that we're talking about whether it's a machlokes in Torah or a machlokes in Kfir, like Korach. Okay, but the kasha is if you're making a general statement, any machlokes l'shem Shemayim is going to continue. That sounds bad. Yeah. Machlokes is a bad thing. So halo yoiser toivim nasa shalom. It's much better to make peace. Ve'ena machloikis miskayemis. Ve'amarti, and therefore I wanted to answer she'efsher ramzu lanu, that Chazal meramis to us in this Mishnah, ki hine machloikis l'shem shemayim hi ima machluka hi avur kavoy Hashem yisbarach. Machloikis l'shem shemayim means you fight something that's wrong. You fight something that's a wrongdoing for the sake of Hashem, the Torah HaKadoshim, for the sake of the Torah. Lilchoim im mahar sedas, and you fight with those who destroy the Torah. Therefore, whoever means it for real, avur das Torah Kedosha, zelo yuchal lasei shalom im Rishayim lo'olam. He can never make peace with the Rishayim.
But
Ki ein shalom amar Hashem l'Rishayim, because Hashem will never let you have peace with as long as someone's a Rasha. V'nimsa Hashem machloika miskayemes lo'olam. So the machloika continues because you don't want to make peace with them. Aval, 1 second, let's finish. Aval oisten she'ein daitem l'shem shemayim. But those who are just fighting the Rishayim for their own personal gain, they have some other ulterior motive for it. So toilim b'chizik adas, and they just pretend that doing it for the sake of Torah, but really not. V'his sinah shetuli b'davar. It's only a hatred that's dependent on some ulterior motive. Hasoifu, the end will be sharashayim mishachti moisam. The Rishayim will give them a little bit of a bribe, and that's it. Ubatla dvar davar, and the whole thing will go down. It will stop. Ve'ena machloikis miskayemes she'ein moichin oid avur kvoy Hashem yisborach v'torah HaKadosh. They won't speak out anymore for the sake of Hashem and His Torah.
Chas v'shalom to say.
Right, Chas v'shalom to say that Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel are Rishayim.
Right.
So that's what.
Shtim with the
So I said before, the pasuk shad is that we're talking about a machloikis of Torah. That's soifelis kaim, like Beis Shammai Beis Hillel, or a machloikis of apikorsis, like Korach against the tzaddik Moshe Rabbeinu.
Yeah.
He won't be miskaim. That's a pasuk shad in the Mishnah. You're right. But the rebbe is saying a remez. He's saying al derech remez. Amarti she'efsher ramzu lanu. It's a remez to us for the future that if someone is fighting Rishayim, the tzaddik stands up against the Rasha and he gives in the end, that shows that his machlokes wasn't l'shem shemayim.
Or maybe I could add into this. Maybe I could.
So v'kacha hu b'inyan agudah. That's what happened with the agudah. Shahayu loichmim matzionim, that they fought against the Zionists originally. Aval bo'eis sheratzu atzionim lekablam. That when it came later on, 1948, the Tzionim said, "Yeah, we're willing to accept you as members of our government." V'litin lahem chelik b'mshaltam. They wanted to give them a membership in the government. Because when the Zionists came to power, they said, "Yeah, now we're already going to include religious people in our government, in their midst." Why? Because the Zionists will they'll get encouragement, they'll get more power out of this to move on, because they'll show, look, we're representing everybody. We're one Jewish state representing all the Jews, even the religious Jews. So nichnesu v'soichem. At that point, the agudah entered it, and they joined up with them. B'simchu v'sasain. They were with happiness. They joined up. V'hema l'medina hatzionis l'chizik rav, and they give a lot of support and a lot of strength to the Zionist state. At that point, it became revealed that the original machloikas that the agudah had against Zionism is ein soifelis kaim. It wasn't a machloikas l'shem shemaim. So, now, really, you could ask a big kasha here. That what is he implying? He's implying that originally, when the agudah fought Zionism in the 20s and the teens, the original agudah with the Chavetz Chaim and Rabbi Chanan, they fought Zionism. They weren't doing the l'shem shemaim. Chas v'shalom to say that on those gedolim. And also, the Rebbe himself says later that the original gedolim who started agudah would never have approved. The Ger Rebbe, he says, would never have approved what they did later on. So, what's going on that he's saying that they weren't fighting l'shem shemaim? And so maybe he means those political people who were not from the Gedolei Hador, who were running agudah, they weren't l'shem shemaim. Maybe he means them. That's first of all. But even on them, you could say that when they joined the Medina, they joined it l'shem shemaim. They joined it even though they were wrong, but they joined it thinking that they could accomplish from within and fight from within. So what's going on with that? So on that, I want to say that I think that he means that they weren't fighting Zionists; they were fighting the irreligiousness of the Zionim. So, in other words, when the Zionim say, "Okay, now it's Medina, it's different. So now, if you join up with us, you can influence us and get a little bit of your way." They say, "Okay, fine, we'll join it because we want to make the state more religious." Yeah. So it was Niskala that their fight against Zionists, those people at least, those political leaders of Agudah, so their fight against Zionists was not a fight in terms of the etzem idea of Zionism. It was more a fight against the secular nature of it. Okay. The same applies with agudah versus mizrachi. That all these years the agudah was speaking out against mizrachi and saying that they're against the torah. All of a sudden, in 1949, in the first election in the Knesset, the mizrachi and the agudah joined together. Right? The mizrachi said, "We're willing to make one united front together with you." Since we cross them, they joyfully enter it. They make this religious front together with the Mizrachi. And they say, yes, we agree that you share the same goal as us. You're fighting for Torah. And in the past, they always said, no, the Mizrachi are the destroyers of the Torah. There are many other stories like this that we can't go on about them at length. And by the way, the Rebbe predicted this many years before. And in the 30s, he already met Reb Shmuel Unger, Nitra Rav, and he told him that, why are you joining Agudah? So Reb Shmuel Unger said, because they're fighting Mizrachi. So he said to him, the Zionists, he said that the Agudah is going to join Mizrachi eventually. And so Shmuel Unger said, Chas v'shalom, they're never going to do that. So the Satmar Rebbe said, you think they're going to ask you before they do it? They're going to do it. And I'll show you, they said in their own newspapers that they're going to do it. So he showed it to him. And then Shmuel Unger realized that that the Rebbe had a point. In any case, but this didn't come true till much later. It came true in 1949. Kohena v'kohena ma'asim merubim. Many other stories are like this. In the earlier generations, when the Chavetz Chaim was alive and the Rebbe Chanan was alive and the Rebbe Chaim Oizer, it wasn't so known what the agudah would do. Now it's really known. To go and explain all the reasons, shalapluktas, the adeas, all the different disagreements that happened then, shahayu az bein chachmei ador, between the different gedolim, oidas agudah regarding the agudah, ein nafkamina achshel v'daber mizeh. There's no nafkamina to speak so much about this. You could go into the past. There are a lot of, besides Zionism, there are a lot of other inyanim that separated agudah from the anti-agudah. Look in the sefer Tikkun Olam, that was written by a chassid of the Munketcher, Minchas Elazar.
Moshe Goldstein?
Yeah. So he documents some of these machlokes about the secular school that was in Warsaw and a few other things. But these are all things that are kind of like, the past is the past. They're not really negay anymore. He says, Ein nafkamina achshav l'daber mizeh, ki maida hava hava. Whatever happened, happened. Now the agudah has changed much for the worse. All the previous generations gedolim, that all they meant l'shem shemaim to join the agudah. They never even occurred to their minds that the agudah would eventually join up with Zionis and Mizrachi. The reliable witness to testify to this fact that they would never have approved of it is Hu Harav Hagoyin Atzadik Hamafursim Hu Admor Migur Zichron Levacha. The Ger Rebbe himself Shahaya Roish Hamachzikim Es Agudah, the Imre Emes, that he was the head of the Gedolei Ador who supported the Agudah in Poland, Biyamav, in his time. The Nidfas Mimenu Michtav Gali, and a letter was published in his name. A letter was of his letters was published, but Oisef Michtavim, in a booklet of letters, Michtav Lamed, letter number 30. He says, "Shehisraim ma'oid al misha mischaber lemiflaga sheyesh ba chafshim." He's very angry at anybody who will join a party that has secular people in it. Oy mekabel matana mehem shezeh mazik. He says anybody who will accept any gift from them is also bad because it's very harmful. V'hisir al kacha, and he warns people not to do it. Im kain al korach shlayol al daito zal. So it must be that he never even thought agudah shehu b'soichem, that his own agudah party yasu kacha al seila would do such a thing. He was talking against some other party or some other people, telling them not to do it. But obviously he didn't think at that time that it would ever happen to his party. V'shuv achar kach hischabru agudah. But later, what happened was the agudah ended up joining L'Atzionim, they join the Zionists b'Memshaltam. Ula Mizrachi b'Dasam, when they join the Mizrachi in their united religious front. V'Nasu Kesher Echad Lios Chazis Dasis, they became a united front. V'Kula Mekablim Loy Rak Ezem Atana Bilvad, all these agudah and Mizrachi, they don't just accept one gift here and there. El Kol Iker Kiyumam V'Chiyusam, their whole budget, or most of their budget at least, Shelo Agudah U'Pu'Loseha V'Achinach Shalahem. He's talking mainly about Chinuch Hatzmai here, where the Israeli government supports 60% of it. Now they support 100% of it. They just don't pay for the bus system, and that they're getting upset about. So El Kol Iker Kiyumam V'Chiyusam, all their Chiyas Shel Agudah U'Pu'Loseha V'Achinach Shalahem, could be now they do pay for the bus. I don't know. So all the Chiyas of the Agudah V'Achinach Shalahem Hu Mikoyach Matnas Yadam Shel Eila Haboyim Lakor Kol HaTorah Kula Chas V'Shalom. It's coming from the hands of those Zionists who want to uproot the whole Torah. V'Heimanim Karim Lahem Avur Kiyumam Kamuan. So therefore the Agudah is sold out to them because they have no choice. They have to support them because they're getting all their support from them. Look how blind are the eyes of those who accept bribes. If a person has an eye infection, he goes to the doctor, he pays him a lot of money. Maybe he'll heal him, maybe he won't. But obviously a person would never take money to get an eye infection, right? He would give money to the doctor to take away his infection. And he wouldn't accept money. If someone would say, I'll give you money, I'll give you a blind eye. They wouldn't do that. But these people who take bribes, they take a little bit of money, a tiny amount, and they blind their eyes. Because the Torah testifies that the bribe blinds the eye. The Gemara on the base there, Ksubas Kufhei on the base says, "My shoichad." What's the word shoichad? Shehu chad, that he is one. He and the giver are one. The giver and the receiver of the bribe, they become like one heart. Because he accepts one little penny from the person, he becomes like one heart with the giver, and he agrees with the giver. Even though he looks very different from the outside, right? The agudist and the UTJ people, they dress very different. They have long beards, long pants, black hats. So, in the heart, they're all the same. And if they say this regarding one pruta, so kal v'chomer k'shenoisin lo ikar kiyumai. Kal v'chomer, when the Medina pays the main budget of these people, kama sam yusinayim yesh bazeh. How much blindness there is in this. Gam eich yuchlu loymar. And furthermore, how could they say, now he's going back to what I said before, that the agudah will claim, okay, look, we're going into the government because we want to get our needs. We want to get the yeshivas supported. Otherwise, there wouldn't be any yeshivas. So he says, we're doing it l'shem shemaim, in other words. It's not shaloi l'shem shemaim, we're doing it for the sake of Torah. So he says, no. How could they claim shehema haloichmim neged hatziyonim haminim? How could they claim that they're fighting against the Tzionim? And that the schools that the Agudah has, that these are their weapons for establishing Emunah in Eretz Yisrael. And they're fighting against the heresy of the Apikorsis, Rahman al-Islam. Haloi, mi pesi yamin, what fool would believe, sheho Apikorsim noistim mois, uklei zayin la'aloichmim negdam. What fool would believe that the Zionists will be willing to give money to those who fight against them? Sheyuchlu liskaim, that they should have more money to exist further, v'lamo b'mulcham, and fight them further. Obviously, no one would pay for their enemies' bills. Who would buy himself enemies that would fight against him? So obviously, that's not the case. Obviously, when the Zionists are giving money to the yeshivas, they're not giving money so that they should fight them. They're giving money so that eventually, in 2016, 2014 actually, they should get up and pass a law. All yeshiva bachrim have to go to the army and help us fight. That's what they want to have. They want to have not enemies. They want to have allies. They see a way there to soften up the war.
No government does.
They want to, besides the fact of what I just said about the army, they also want to bring in studies into the chinuch habanim. They make rules. Everybody who takes our money has to speak Ivrit in the school and learn the Zionist history. Chinuch habanim v'abanos.
And now you hear that in New York also they're trying to get the cheders to teach more English because they take money.
Maybe, yeah. Oh, yeah. That's the pre-K, right? Pre-K program.
Even without
Shabilade Zois, that besides for this poison that the Zionists put into the schools, they have no other way to control the yeshivas. So that's why they give the money. Whoever understands the situation of the schools, the yeshivas in Eretz Yisrael, Shalahem, the agudah schools, Yodeh Ho'emes, he'll know the truth. Shama there, that the government of the Zionists, that they're trying to shmad Yidden in all different ways. They give at the same time that they're taking religious Jews from Sephardi countries and making them into completely secular, they're also taking money and giving it to the agudah schools. Why? It's not just a free gift. It's worth it to them to give the money. I'm not going to go on in length about this. I'm just coming to explain the halacha of joining the government and going to elections. And he says that even if there would be some toyalis in doing it, it would be aser, because you can't do an avei lishma. Chazal don't have the power. Even Bisman Chazal, they didn't have the power. He spoke about it in one of the Simonim before.
Like some Zionists bring the Gemara down that if one sees too much carry,
let me finish. So even if it would be for a good purpose, it would be aser. That's why he says I'm not going to be mimarich too much about why it's not a good purpose, why they're not really doing life anything.
Why don't you just say